Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are going live. This is kind of last minute because I didn't realize that the Luderitz crew are 2 hours ahead of me here in Portugal. So my timing has been totally out, but we will be getting onto it. We're going to have, if you don't know what's happening, we're going to have a live show. We're going to go, well, we are live at the moment, as you can see. We have some people. Yes, we have some big speed people, and we're going to be talking to them about what is going on at the moment. Obviously, a lot of the top guys in the world are in Luderitz now, trying to break world records, trying to break personal bests, national records. All that is going down. It's been an up and down event, mostly down from what I've seen. There's been some days, but in 3 weeks, not probably what they wanted. But the forecast is looking good for the next few days. So we're going to be over there and speaking to the crew to find out what they think is going to happen in the next few days, and maybe some speed talk. I'm going to open it up to you guys at home to, ask some questions. Maybe you've got some speed questions. Maybe you've got some Luderitz questions. So let's introduce everybody. Let me just take this off because then I think we can have the crew. There we go. We can see everybody. So who have we got? Obviously, Heidi. You want to just maybe introduce yourselves, because the speed you guys don't quite get, for me, the publicity that some of the PWA guys get. So there'll be a lot of guys out there and girls that don't know who you are, I would say, within reason, no disrespect, but I think you guys don't get as much publicity. So maybe let's just go around the room, introduce everybody.
Yeah, well, hi everyone. I'm simply Heidi from Switzerland. And I'm addicted in speed, especially speed windsurfing. And I'm gonna try to beat the world record here in Luderitz over the 500 meter on the speed channel. I have already the outright nautical mile world record in speed sailing since 2019. And this one in Luderitz, I just missed 2 times now by 0.1 knots. So on the official timing. So let's fingers crossed that we're going to have some nice winds the upcoming days.
Yeah, I mean, you have been so close. I mean, obviously, I've been following it. The GPS, you've smashed it on the GPS. I mean, nearly hitting 50. Did you hit 50 on the peak, or I know you guys don't measure the peak, do you?
No, I had 49.7 on the max speed. But to be honest, in speed surfing, no one is that much interested in max speed. 2 seconds are counting and 500 meters are counting. I know you are, but I just missed 50 knots by 0.3 knots. So, but that should not be the main goal during the Luderitz Speed Challenge.
Okay, we're going to come back to that in a minute. Vincent, you want to introduce yourself?
So I am Vincent Valkenaars, just from a little country in Belgium. Started windsurfing, speed surfing not so long time ago. And then I came in 2018, 2019, the first time here in Luderitz. And then 18 was a bit like what is all about the Luderitz Speed Challenge. And then from 2019, the goal was pretty much set because I did already the Belgian record. Now it was the aim for the world record. And this year I was fucking close, like really 0.02 knots of the world record. But I could do the fastest top speed ever, 56.04 knots. So this was really insane, and it felt that I could do better. And that's why I'm now here to beat not actually the world record, but to beat 54 knots on 500 meters. That's 100 Ks in.
That's kind of what I see that with a lot of the speed guys. The big boys are going 100K. That's like the new thing, isn't it? It's like 100K. What's interesting for me is, when did you start windsurfing, Vincent?
I started in 2009, but my first session was 2013. And 2013, I started with GPS. So it's not so long time ago.
Just mad. I find that so mad, because the first I heard of you was when this guy from Belgium had basically just equaled Albo's record. I mean, it was literally equal. I mean, what's the difference between you and the world record?
0.02 knots. So really nothing.
19 centimeters. They
how far?
19 centimeters measuring, yes.
That's just bonkers. And also for people at home that don't know, it's between the sticks, between the markers, the 500 meters, which is placed by the ratification, the World Speeds. Maybe fill in, what is it? The World Speed Organization.
Yeah, WSSRC. The official,
yeah, so they've got a gate where when you cross that gate, it starts, and when you finish at the gate, whereas you might have broke the record if it had started later or if it had been a bit earlier. You never know, because you've got to be between those sticks. And in Luderitz, for anyone who hasn't been, it's not a big course, is it? Like, if that course, I always felt if it was longer or the run-up was better, there would be faster times. Is that something that you guys think about, or?
No, for me personally, not, because I do my fastest 500 even before the starting gates.
Okay.
So actually, I did my fastest time on GPS was even, I think, 50 meters before the start already.
What?
But the problem is actually that the finish is really small, so you have to go full. But yeah, then you see the end coming of the channel, and you think, oh, do I gonna stop or not?
So, and again, this was something that I learned when I was in Luderitz. So, knots is, it's, if you half it, you get meters per second. Is that right? Roughly. So so if you're doing 50 knots, you're doing roughly 25 meters per second.
Yes.
So for people to imagine it, you cross the finish and there's not that many meters till the end. So if you're doing 25 meters a second, every second you're doing 25 meters, that shore, it's like, I explained it when I did my first ever skydive. Like, in the middle of the skydive, everything's fine. And then there's a point where the ground like comes at you really fast. And it's a bit like that in Luderitz when you go over the finish. It all seems fine. And then suddenly you're like, and there's been a few people ended up on the beach. Is that people?
Yeah,
maybe not anymore.
Eject or hoping they just stop and then let the gear go. But yeah.
That's not the way it should be. But it is like that. The finish is so short and it comes so fast, and especially at the end, even after the finish box, you have the most wind. Really, the hardest gusts are coming through the finish. And last Saturday, on one run, I was not even able to hook out after the finish, and I thought, fucking hell, what should I do now? I just leaned in fully and I crashed for sure, but I was not able, the gust hit me that strong, I was not able anymore to hook out. And I really was in my head already, fuck, I ended up in the lagoon or somewhere else.
I mean,
this is really the most mind fucker, sorry for that, to finish.
But it is mad, isn't it? Like, and obviously I have been there, so I kind of got a feeling. We only had one day, which was, now I look back at, because every time I see Luderitz now, I kind of compare it to my trip there, and I see the times of the guys. I'm thinking, oh man, they're faster this year. Does that mean I could have gone faster? And you're like, ooh, and it kind of teases you in. But just give people an idea of what it's like to sail down the channel, because it's not as simple. There is different stages on the channel that have different amounts of wind. Like you say, the finish is windier than the middle, and the start with the slingshot is different. And then the start is also a crazy thing, you know, to get up on a tiny speedboard in really gusty, windy conditions. Maybe just kind of talk through, like, where are the key points in that course? I think it's super interesting for me.
Yeah, well, you start also in a little starting box with around 150 or 180 meter until the slingshot corner. And normally you start in the starting box with almost no wind, because if you don't have wind in the starting box, you have for sure wind down the channel. Okay. So you are sitting or standing in the starting box with around 15 to 20 kilo of lead on your back. A tiny speed needle. And
how wide your board, Heidi, just to give people a reference?
My bigger board is 37 wide and my smallest is 33.
Your big board is 37.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you stand there in this tiny little starting box with a sail which is for sure too big for this wind, but it has to be. And then you have around 10 to 20 people, mans for sure, in your back who want to start also, and then you have to go.
Yeah, and it's like a traffic light system. There's basically a guy on the corner with a flag. So that guy kind of looks down the course to make sure the guy before you hasn't crashed, is clear down, and then he puts the green flag up, and then it's your chance to go. And that's when the pressure comes, isn't it? You've got, like you say, 15 kilos of lead. You've got all these guys waiting for you, and you've got gusty winds of like maybe on a braking day is like 40 plus knots, 50 maybe on one of them days. It's not easy to, and the wind is quite square there compared to when you go around the corner.
Yeah, especially in the starting box, normally the wind is super square and super gusty. It's not that easy, and the best would be, or the best for me is if I go into my tunnel and I don't think about anything else. I just have Christian next to me who is watching through the channel. And if he say, yes, the gust is coming, then I try to start. That's how it's worked for me so far. And I don't know, how do you feel you start?
For me, we are a lot more guessing, because you hope that the channel fills up. You try to find a spot to watch to see that it's filling up. And then, you try to jump on the right moment. But it's always a gamble, especially now this year's. It's not really windy the last years we had, and it's super gusty. So, you want to wait a little till the gust fills up the channel and then go. But when you're on the corner and when you go, you have to go. You cannot pedal back, and you can't wait, and you just go down and you try again the next round.
I don't know, maybe you've got some stories of this, but for sure when I was there, one of the most heartbreaking things was you start, it feels great. You go around the corner, it feels great. You down the middle, you get the gust. You're like, oh my God, I am on. This is going to be my best run. And then where the wind picks up at the end, it doesn't come that run, or, something. And you just go and you feel because you're so off the wind, like the slightest decrease in that, you lose you feel it going away from you. And you're like, this was the one. It's like, do you have a feeling like that when it's the one? Does it feel like, for some people I know when they do their fastest run, sometimes it doesn't feel fast, and sometimes when you do a slower run, it's choppier and it feels faster. Is that something?
That's what with me.
That's true.
In 2019, actually, I did my run. I started, I think, on the right moment, and the gust hit me really hard on the corner. But then at the end, the gust was just done, and I was going down slower, and the braking was so easy. Everything was actually super easy that I thought, oh, this is not so fast. But then I watched my GPS and it looks like it was the fastest I ever done. So that was really crazy, actually. Also, braking was super easy. Normally, when it's really windy, it's really hard to brake. But on this run, it was super easy, actually. And that was like, maybe we can do faster.
That I had exactly the same feeling. If you are on the run and if you feel the wind is coming from behind into the sail, fills up the sail, and you just go through, it feels so easy. You have no pressure, you have no stress. It just, wow, this is the run. And on my fastest run last Saturday, I had exactly this feeling. And then I saw in front of me the fucking wind lull, and I thought, no way, please not. And I really tried not to overshoot, but I mean, it's hard to see it in front, but I tried not to overshooting. And then at the end, the big gust came again, and I thought, no, come on, please not now. But if you have the right gust, you can really feel it, and it's really easy then, because you feel everything is going smooth down the channel. And if you have to struggle, if you have to work, if you have to push, then normally it's not that. It's not a good
because
run.
When you're going faster, you can hold the line against the sandbags also much easier than when you're struggling a little bit or the wind is up and down. So you feel the difference between a really fast one or not.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely remember that. Like, and I'm just going to put Lauf's run on here, but when you get that lull, if you're super close to the barrier, you go upwind, don't you? Like, as soon as you hit a little bit of less pressure, you instantly go, and it's pretty scary. I mean, how close do you have to sail to that? Is that kind of key?
It is for sure kind of key, because the closer you can go, the flatter the water is. But especially this year, the days we had so far were super downwind. The course was super downwind. And if it's already that downwind when you go down the channel and you have a lull, a wind hole, then it's really like you do almost like a little slalom curve, and it takes you to the bags, sucks you to the bags, and then it's even more difficult to hold the course. That I try to go as near as I can to the bags. But yeah, if you have a course which is that downwind, it's really difficult.
Do you think it's the wind that's changed as the course? I mean, I'm guessing the course is in exactly the same spot, or are they changing the angle of the course, or you think something else has happened?
Yeah, they say they did a few degrees.
But so far, it's not feeling like that.
No.
To be honest, for me, I was here the last time in 2019, and so far it feels deeper than any year before. So, but
it can also be the wind.
It
can also be that the wind is a bit more south, and that's why.
But to be honest, I think, in my opinion, it would be better if the course would be a bit less downwind, so we can sail a bit more in square wind with a bit more pressure, and then the water should be also flatter in the channel. But that's my opinion.
Yeah. I guess it's a really difficult one, isn't it? Because maybe the channel right now is perfect for breaking a record, let's say, but you might only get one day in a month where that angle will be good. So it's like if you made it squarer, maybe you'd get loads more faster days, but you wouldn't necessarily get the record. Again, I'm just guessing here, because I also noticed this year a lot of people, or even in the last couple of years, have been sailing Diaz Point, and I found that super interesting. And actually, I would say from when I was there, it would have been amazing to be utilizing that. Do you guys want to talk a bit about Diaz Point? Because it's definitely, I can see, weirdly, sitting back here, being the windsurfing fan, maybe a bit into speed, I can imagine going to Luderitz now just to sail Diaz Point, which when I was there before, I don't know. Are people saying that? Because that's a bit worrying, isn't it? It's going to get quite busy.
Yeah, but when there's so much people on the channel, it's not so nice to wait for 1 hour for a gust that maybe don't come. And then on Diaz Point, you can just go out, try the gear in higher winds. There's almost every day, when it's a good forecast, over 40 knots of wind. So then you really can sail in the higher winds. And that's, I think for us that are all done the channel for a lot of years now, it's better to train in higher winds to be ready also for the higher wind, because otherwise you're only trimming in the channel for light wind days. But then when the big day comes, you have to change everything again, and you're half a day busy with just trimming the gear again. Yeah. So it's better to sail in rough conditions at Diaz Point to keep the pace high and to keep also the speeds high. And then, for us, it makes more sense. We can sail much more, do more hours, because this year was really not so good for speed sailing in Europe. We had not a lot of days with good winds. So it's nice that we can do some speed sailing here.
And at Diaz Point, you always have around 10 to 15 knots more wind than at the channel. So if we have a forecast around 30 knots at the channel, for the bigger and heavier guys, it's perfect at Diaz Point, because they know exactly we have now 40 to 50 knots of wind. Even if it's Portec, it's perfect to settle up the gear and to train and have some fun over there.
I mean, that's definitely, when I was there, that's what I found the hardest. It's like when you've got the day where you could do your thing, you spent it tuning your gear and you don't have time, because maybe the one run where you're messing around with a fin that you haven't tried yet, or a sail setting, Whereas it seems like you can get more of those days to organize your gear right. And then when you get the day on the channel, you're kind of already like, because it's what I found also interesting is you guys, you come back every year with the same gear as well. Like you might have new gear, that's okay. But a lot of the time, if you've been fast on a speed board and a speed sail in the past, people usually bring it with them just in case. Is that still going on?
Yeah, you see, it's really hard.
Well, for me, not. I changed the gear totally since 2019. I was on Neilbright in 2019. I'm on Patrick sails now. I'm the only one and the only girl who is on SDM mast. So everybody was laughing. And everybody was asking, are you sure, girl, you're going to do it on the Patrick sail? You never tried, or nobody tried the Patrick sails down the channel so far. And to be honest, I tried. I trust my gear. I settled up my gears the whole last year. That's why I didn't came to Luderitz last year, because I want to sail on a gear which I know, which I really don't really good know. And I will never ever come to the channel with gear which I never sailed before. But that's my opinion.
Yeah.
Other guys have some other opinions, but yeah, that's not.
Yeah, for me, this was in 2019. I was so close to the world's record. So this setup I for sure take with me, because I know definitely it will work. But now we got these prototypes of Neilbright and they really seems to work very, very good. But still, I have this gear in my back of the van and I have it for when the big days come and it looks like it's not working, the new gear. I can just grab it and go, because I know this very good. But I think the new gear is faster. We made a new board, we made a new sail, and they're working really, really good. So I think we are further in the gear. But a lot of people, they take what they think or what is proven to be faster, because we see a lot of people with Neilbrights in the van, especially the 5.2 A411, where I did almost a record on.
Yeah.
So yeah, they want to have something that they know really works, but not sure that it works for them too.
Yeah, but
that's the difference.
Because I think at the end it's not the material, it's the human. In my opinion, it's 80% the human, who has to do it, and not the gear. You can have good gear in your van, but if you are not able to sail on it, then it will not work.
And everyone has the rigging. Yeah,
but that's my opinion.
Because that's what I found when I was there. I was getting tips by everyone, and it made a massive difference. You know, if I hadn't have had the help from everyone when I was there, I don't think I would have gone as fast as I did when I was there. Not that I went that fast, but you know, it's like just the setup, because it's so broad. Like people just have got no clue until they go to Luderitz. Like 30 knots of wind feels like 10 knots of wind. It's like you're going down the channel at 40. 42 or something, which is some people's dream in their whole lifetime, and you've got your hand off the boom, you feel like you're not even moving, and you're doing I can't explain that. I tried to explain it to a few people who were asking about Luderitz, and it's like, it's impossible. They're like, but you did 42 knots, and I was, on one of the days I was like, yeah, but I wasn't even, I felt like I wasn't even moving, and you're doing 42 knots, which when I went to West Kirby and I'm going up, I was like, it was kind of a crazy feeling that was. So talk just a bit about gear for people who want there. What's your sort of most used sail? What's record breaking, type equipment, fin sizes, that type of stuff. And you say you're using a standard diameter mast. Are most people using RDMs, or are they using these new middle? There's a mid one now, isn't there? I think. Did someone?
Yeah, we use just in Neilbright, our sails are designed on RDM mast, which I really like, because it makes the sail a little bit lighter and feels a bit more reacting faster. About the boards, for me, and I think I speak for the most of the bigger guys, the 40 wide speedboard is quite the thing, but you can play, of course, with the volume. With JP, we have a board with really less volume. The other brands are a bit bigger about volume. And about the fin, the most I know of the bigger riders are sailing with 19 or around this centimeter fin.
Yeah. And how heavy are you, Vincent? I mean, you're a big lad.
I'm 108 kilos. No.
And then how much lead?
I have in my van up to 20 kilos, but I think it will be around 16 that I will be using.
Okay, that's a fair bit of weight, because I mean, Heidi, you talked to me about lead and stuff, because again, from my point of view, which is always interesting to have my take on it, because the difference between having lead and not lead is crazy. Like, I felt like with the lead on, the sail worked way more and my body wasn't moving so much, and it was I was like, this is what it feels like to be like a real size speed sailor for once. It's crazy. So you must feel that.
Yeah, that's crazy, and that's true, because if you have 40 knots plus wind in the channel, I'm on the same gear like the guys. We have then 5.2 or 5.0. I'm sailing exactly the same gear. I have a little bit a smaller board. I'm on the 37 with an 18 fin then, with the 18 Nolo fin, but the sail is exactly the same like the big guys are using. I'm 70 kilo and I have always around 14 to 18 kilos lead on my back, and the lead is really helping to stabilize the sail, that your upper body is not moving like hell all the time. And I felt them on Saturday every 2 kilo. I put the leads in, and with more leads, I was more stable and I was also faster. Yeah. And if you can as more kilo you can handle on your back, the faster and the more stable you are at the end.
Especially over 500 meters, because it's quite a long way and it's pretty choppy in the channel. So it keeps also the gear down and makes everything more calm, that you are more stable, and it makes it more easy.
I mean, that's definitely what I felt like. Every time I put more lead in, I just felt better. It's like, it's just like you say, you're not moving. It's the rig is kind of moving, and it's interesting you say that as well. You're using similar size sail to some of the big guys. Again, same thing when I was there. I was using a bigger sail than Bjorn, which felt wrong. How is, I don't get it. I still don't get it. Why is that? Can that be possible? But why? How can that work? It doesn't make sense, does it? Like, I've seen Eric Beale has got like a 4-meter speed sail, which kind of makes more sense. But I'd be interested if it works.
Well, I think we will see it. We will see it the next days if it will work or not. But in my opinion, you need a bigger sail, because you always have a wind load during the 500 meters. Always. You have to be overpowered, otherwise, but that's my opinion, otherwise it will not work on this distance of 500 meters.
Yeah.
I think the same. We sail always with the same size, actually 5.2, 5.3 is the main size. And till now, we didn't have wind that it was too big, so we can handle a lot more.
Well, actually, I was just looking at the forecast. It looks pretty good, doesn't it? I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to, but is this the best looking forecast since you guys have been there?
I think so, yeah.
Kind of, yeah. Especially close, Saturday, because it's windy from tomorrow and it will build up. And also during the night, Friday, Saturday, means we already have wind Saturday morning. It will maybe good if we start early in the morning, because if we can see here the angle in the morning Saturday is also looking quite nice. And you never know, especially on this day, you have to be ready.
Yeah.
Because in between 5 or 10 minutes, everything can change and you have 20 knots more wind than the last minutes before. So
yeah. And I also heard someone said the other day, and it was the same. I remember when I was speaking to Finian about his record in France. He was saying his best run was when the wind was quite square, and then it went like really broad, and that moment between it being square and going broad, the canal was flat, and he had the angle of the downwind, so he didn't have the chop, and that was when he smashed his record. So is the wind moving in Luderitz at all?
Yeah, it's swinging pretty. Yeah, every run is maybe different. Can be maybe different. Like you have windows of 15 minutes or 10 minutes that is good, and then it changes again, then it's really not good anymore. So you have to be lucky also a little bit, but still you have to make something out of it. But I think how stronger the wind becomes, how more stable the direction is also here.
Yeah, but this is also a point why every one of us try to do as much as run as we can do, or as the body is possible for the body, because you never know if you're gonna have the gust or not. And on last Saturday, I did 20 runs, and if you remember, in 2015, Antoine Albo did over 30 runs. So I think, that's my opinion, as more runs you do, the more chance you have to have the right gust.
Yeah, 100%. Like you say, when Antoine did it, I remember he had his own van and he was just doing laps. And I think because he was on for the world record, they give him priority. Is that still a thing? Because you've probably got 20 guys in the channel, and
that's still like in 2015 for the girls is when you go over 45 knots on 500 meter, you get priority, and for the boys is 51 knots.
But this is on daily base.
Yeah, and on daily base, and then you can jump in and go whenever you want.
Yeah, because obviously the idea of the Luderitz Speed Challenge is to get a world record.
That's still a world record, isn't it?
Yeah, that's still the ultimate goal. All right, just a couple of questions coming in. Matt saying, what do you have to change with gear to go to the channel as opposed to Diaz Point on the other tack? Can the sails even rotate to the other side with all those cam spaces?
With my nearby sails, okay, we take a little bit tension off maybe to rotate it a little bit better, but nothing changes a lot. For the channel, you need more downhaul for sure than on open water. That's one thing, but for the rest, the board is different. We use a different board in the channel. It's much smaller in the channel than on Diaz Point. Because on the Diaz Point, you have to build up the speed, half wind, and then slingshot. And in Luderitz, in the channel, you just go down. So you don't need a big board.
Yeah, for the Patrick sail, the same. We used exactly the same sails on Diaz Point like in the channel. We don't have special camber which give you a deep profile just on one side. We really have serial gear, and we can use it board deck and starboard side.
Yeah, that's interesting. And we've also got some other guys there, I'm guessing. I don't know, I can't see.
Yes.
Do we have other riders? Because I know what it's like with these things. I could chat for hours to you guys. And what I might do is maybe we'll do some individual podcasts after Luderitz, some speed.
Andy and Hans are ready.
Yeah, we'll do a little bit of a rotate. Cheers for tuning in. We're going to be watching the channel, no doubt about it. Hey, there we go. Oh, we've got a full house. Full house. Wow, perfect. Cheers, Heidi. Bring in the big guns. See you in a bit. Jeez. You look like sitting down. All right. How we doing?
How's it?
Good, man. Good, really good. Let's have some introductions. Give me your top speeds. Give me some goals, what you're aiming for, if you've got any. Obviously, you're at the speed challenge. So just introduce yourself. Give me some speeds. Give people at home something to think about.
You start? I start? Okay. I'm Hans Kreisel. My top speed is around 55. I did a run on the canal of 52.7 last year. And I think I can beat the world record, but just need the wind condition. And I hope it's going to pick up for Saturday. And open water, I did 100 kilometers an hour.
You were the first one?
Yeah, first one. So I want to be the first one to really get close to that 100K, but I think it's not possible this year. I think we're going to max out at 53 point something because the canal is just too short.
Yeah. It's interesting, the canal. Andy, just give us a quick rundown, and then I'll come back to a few of them points.
It's me now?
Yeah. Just give a quick rundown.
Yeah, I had my fastest run was, I think, 51.6. My main goal is actually to take back the German record, which Gunnar, sitting over there, took from me from 2008. We'll see. My top speed is also 54 in 2 seconds. So, yeah, and I had a really good run last year on the 250, which was close to world record, 53 point something on like half the way.
Yeah.
So I think I'm ready for it. I mean, we got good equipment. We've got the same equipment, and we were working on it. So yeah, let's.
I mean, I was actually looking at some videos of you boys working on it. Look at that. That's a pretty sick shot. That's obviously at Diaz Point, but it looks like the Pride guys, you look like you've definitely been putting some effort in the speed. Is that something you're designing together? Who is like the main guys for designing the speed stuff?
I think it's basically everybody. Everybody gives his input. Like, I mean, the top guys are, the fastest guys on the planet are working for Pride JP. So you got all the inputs to Robert Stroy, the sail makers, and the sail maker and Werner Kniegler, and they are trying to develop the stuff. So every time we get the new stuff, it looks just perfect, and there's only some small changes every time.
Yeah, and then we just get the feedback, and then they respond to that. And then, like, the sail we got last year was really, really good, but it was a bit opening too much, or we told them to close it a bit, and change some other stuff. And now the sail feels amazing, and I think we can change the little things, but it feels close to perfect already. So
your channel sail that you sail in the canal, is that the same sail as you use in France, for example? It's
actually we just got it a week before.
Okay.
Because there were some troubles with production and getting everything at the last moment. So we've been testing here at Diaz Point, because we got a lot of wind here to test, and just test all different masts and see what works, for the canal, because you need such a different trim on the canal than what you do on open water.
Yeah.
I think it will work this say, because it looks really, really nice. You just need a little bit another trim for South France, a little bit more flat than on the canal, I think.
Yeah, maybe a little less downhaul.
Yeah.
So there's a question here from Riga State. I think the solution is to build 2 or 3 channels at different angles. So if we like, let's say I don't like to say this, but forget about the nature of people who are not happy as digging holes in the thing. But let's just say that is possible. Is that something you think? How could you improve that channel? Give me you guys.
Put one at Diaz Point. That would be nice.
Yeah, that would be nice. But at Diaz Point, it's flooding, Okay. But I think just what we need is the wind, because when the wind gets really strong, the angle tends to turn. And we've just been unlucky, because the month before, like October, was really super windy. Yeah, and so you just never know, and it's always like in the whole event you get like that 10 or maybe 15 minutes that the course is actually like perfect, And some years it's not even that, So it's just also you have to be lucky.
It's a full dedication, isn't it? You boys and obviously girls, it's a full dedication. I mean, what are you feeling coming into this event? Because you kind of spend the whole year, but this is the one where records are going to be broken. I don't think there's anywhere else in the world that can produce speeds like this at the moment. So it's all on this month. And then, like you say, you've been there for I don't know how many weeks now, and you don't get the forecast. But it must be, I don't know. How do you deal with that? Because it's
pretty disturbing, especially when last year I was here for 5.5 weeks, and then at the 4th week I was going to leave Luderitz, and then we saw the forecast, and then 3 days later I said, fuck, I'm gonna stay 3 days longer, And then the forecast came, and then we got the wind, but. Sometimes you just see it just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and it's not going to happen.
I'm trying, I'm trying to only book the flight whenever it's getting windy down here, because I have family at home, 3 kids. I can't leave my wife 4 weeks alone with the 3 kids. So I'm only flying when the forecast is good, and then I'm taking all my other gear like foil, slalom, and big speedboard for Luderitz, for the Diaz Point. So yeah, basically I can go sailing every day. Yesterday I went foiling. It's really, really beautiful. So
it's a crazy place, isn't it? Because you think in the whole of the world, how is this one spot in the middle of quite nowhere, really? You know, it's quite far. I mean, obviously, if this place was in Europe, like I know a lot of you boys are going to France and stuff on the forecasts, it's a whole different world, then, isn't it?
It's the best spot you can ever imagine. I mean, there's no other spot. I know a lot of spots, but for speed and windsurf and slalom and foiling, there's no better place in the world, I think.
Yeah.
It's windy every day.
Yeah, it's really windy every day.
It's crazy.
And it's beautiful, really beautiful. You got dolphins, you got penguins. I saw penguins and seals, whatever.
I think in the south of France, we if we could have a canal over there, it would be great, because then we can go like every time it's like super windy, you can like create a time window for yourself. You know, and traveling here costs already 2-3 days.
Yeah.
So that's also a problem. But in Europe, it's just impossible, I think, with all the nature guys going on. You know, if you're a big company, it's no problem. You know, they make nature somewhere else. But if it's for this, like a little canal, like which is like very innocent, you know, but that's like really hard to create.
The bit I struggle with is I don't understand what damage digging a hole is doing, because it's probably going to promote some sort of nature. You know, it's not like you're concrete blocks and building high-rise towers. You're digging a hole in a mud flat. I don't see how that's. I don't get. I've thought about this a lot. What is the argument? Because I guess you guys have probably heard it. Because France is perfect in some angles, and there's a lot of ground which is. To me,
yeah, we have the Tramontana, which is really strong. You know, you can get gust up to 70 knots. You know, that's too much, but I think it's a super interesting place to do it.
Yeah.
There we can drive in like half a day. You know, you're there.
Yeah, interesting. It's super interesting. I've got a question, Hans. This is for you. You have, for me, a very different style, like short lines, low boom. And when I first saw pictures of you, I was like, who's this dude? And then I started following it, and I was like, you're into his GPS. And then the times are coming, and I'm thinking, he is smashing it. Then there was a few people saying, yeah, but can he do it in Luderitz? Yes, yeah. You know. And then you've got Vincent, who's kind of grown up, I guess, with you as a mentor, I'm guessing, because he's got a very similar style, low boom, short lines. Talk to me about this.
Yeah, there's you know, when you're when you have long lines, you're really outside of the board, and when you're outside the board, you're going to be lower, so you're going to push the board more from the side. So the pressure on the fin is different, and also you get a different lift from it. And with the short lines, you're also straighter up, so your angle with the boom is more straight as well. And you can lift up the board, you can put it down, you know, you have like a lot of options. And like getting the board loose is way more effective. The only problem with the stance is when it gets really gusty, it's going to be getting pretty much a little dangerous, right? Because it's harder to control the wind when you're so straight up.
Okay.
But you remember, Ben, when you were here, I told you to shorten your harness lines, and you got faster and faster.
But I was just going to get onto this. Do you think that style is for a certain size of rider? Because from my point of view, like Andy says, when I was here, I had really long lines because I was shitting myself that I was going to end up on the back. As soon as I put myself upright, I felt like I was just getting moved around all over the place. So do you think it's a weight thing, or
yeah, maybe also, and you know, when you have length and weight, it's a big advantage in speed surfing. But I think when you want to have this style, you have to be fully committed to it and like train on it every day, because otherwise you're not going to learn, because you're so much on the fin that the board can pop every second if you're not reading the water right or not reading the wind right.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you've got to be on it. As soon as you've got short lines, if you're not technically gifted, or you're gonna.
No, you're gonna smash to the front if you don't watch. You know.
Yeah, that's what I was scared of, Andy.
Catapulting.
Actually, saying that, you catapulted. Last time I was there, I think I'd left, and I heard rumors that you ended up crashing massively on the finish. Are you not mentally scarred from that? Didn't you break? Yeah, didn't you break your mast extension? And
once.
It was a few
Yeah,
years
I crashed,
ago.
no, I crashed twice, I think. Yeah, but it didn't hurt so much because I crashed into the water, which is not, it's not that bad. I mean, if you compare it to like motocross guys or skiing downhill guys, it's nothing. I mean, you're crashing into the water. My worst thing that can happen is like Patrick Deaton, spin out and then crashing into your stuff. But that's basically the worst which can happen.
You're breaking your board.
Or breaking the board.
Yeah. But that crash from Patrick Deaton, oh my God, I've watched that back because we had it in a video. He span out, caught the edge, stopped dead, and then just went through the mast with his face.
Yeah.
I mean, that's I don't think there's many worse crashes than that.
No, that was the worst.
It looked bad. It looked very bad. I'm just going to have a couple of questions before we go on to something else. Matt says, what new things are people trying this year? It looks like the asymmetrical one-sided boom is dead. Is that correct? You using both normal booms or still one-sided?
No, I'm just using a symmetrical boom. I like the feeling better. You know,
Okay.
You can just like feel the sail better. It's also easier to trim.
Is your sail touching the other side of the boom? Does your sail touch the other side of the boom?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
it does.
It's interesting that, because I've always thought that does that help? Maybe it helps certain. I don't know. Like maybe it holds some sort of power, or
maybe, you know, with the downforce could be.
I'm using the asymmetrical when it's really like light wind on 5/8, so I can sail it really deep like a spinnaker.
Yeah.
So it drags it down. But like if I use 5.2 or our new 5.3, then I'm just going for the normal boom.
But there's no freaky stuff going on. I mean, Eric Beale is the king of freaky stuff. Anybody anyone putting on the Finian Maynard skin suit or whatever it might be?
No. This year actually is pretty quiet concerning new stuff, and it's just like small updates, and that's it.
Yeah, there's no big thing going on. I think we could make a big change in the fins with cavitation, but it's really hard to get them started and to get something there. You know, you have to start from scratch.
I actually got new fins from Nolo here, but I crashed them right after the start, so I couldn't even try. They were so thin. So I jumped on the board. I hit the ground, and the fin is broken. So it was useless.
I was going to ask, how's the start? Because when I was there, it was pretty shallow. Is it still pretty shallow?
Yeah, it's even more shallow now.
No, in the middle it's deep.
Because it's quite deep in the beginning, but then you jump on the board. If you make a small mistake, then you hit the ground, and that's it for the fin. Servus.
Yeah. I just remember doing those couple of light wind runs, and you go around the corner and you see the hole, and you're like, oh no, this is just going to just go. Absolute disaster. Nigel saying, sailing on the channel, obviously starboard tack, Diaz Point port tack. Is that an issue? Do you notice differences? I mean, or is it just training?
Not really. I think only in Diaz Point you have a little wave coming in every time, and you know, for me, I don't like it with my style. It's gonna, my board is not getting on the rail in the corner.
Okay.
I don't know. It's a bit with the current, I think.
Gotcha. Okay. So I'm just going through. Yeah. So there's people saying Marie de la Mer. I guess that was the channel down that the Finian one was breaking the records. Is that still there? That channel? Is that?
I think it's still there, but it's a nature reserve, I think, and Marie de la Mer.
So okay.
And when you have too much plants growing there, you need to cut them down, and I don't think they're gonna like it. Or you have to do it in the night.
It's frustrating. I really think it's like you guys are not doing something as crazy as building it. You're digging a hole in a bit of mud. I really just fail to understand how that is not okay. Because if you dig
maybe they should rebuild West Kirby, and make it bigger.
It's really, I tell you, that is a good spot.
6 spot is really good.
It saves having to do what you guys do, which is like wading through the mud. I've seen some of these videos and I'm like, I think the speed sailor is the most dedicated of all the disciplines. It's like you need to be, I hate to say this, freakish about it, because some of the stuff I see from Holland, it's like you got to run over a road, then you got to hike up a blooming mud flat, then you've got to have one run, and I'm like, and then the tide is only there for half an hour, and once it's gone, it's another trek back, and I'm like, man, you're crazy.
Yeah, but it's worth it, when you do your record over there, it's perfect, the wind on the Waterzee is like really flat wind, you get like the gust is so wide, you can just keep on accelerating. And if you're somewhere else, it's always the banks are too high, and then the wind gets a bit a bit mixed up, and it doesn't work. And over there it's just perfect, only the time window is way too short. You can make 8 runs. You drive up there, you spend like 2.5 hours going there, and then like walking the mud for 20 minutes and then make 8 runs, and then you go back. It's like
that's what I mean. It's insane. I find that just insane. Yeah. But like you say, because the window's so short, that's why you get it so flat. Because
but we know which window we need. So it's like 70% of the time when we go there, we know it's gonna be really good. Otherwise, we're not gonna do it.
But do you know that it's deep enough? Like that would scare me, because I guess the water's not like Bonaire. It's like
that's a bit of a problem, especially at the brace, because the water is really muddy, and then you have to like constantly like check. And what we normally do when the tide goes down, we make little hills, so we see when the tide goes up or comes down. So when the tide comes up, we know we have to go further from the bank.
Okay.
And then we, in the beginning, we take some walks to measure where the shallow spots are, but you can always mistake, right? I had that like last year a few times, and then on the Kladerplaat, I broke a mast, and then you have to swim back for like 1.5 K. It's not so nice.
Man, I don't know, but that's also the thing, that I think a lot of guys see what you're doing and they maybe don't take the precautions, because that's what people don't see. They see the videos, they see the hiking, but they don't realize that you're measuring stuff, and it's a serious thing. You can't just be going blasting out at the high 40s or into 50s or 100K without doing a few checks.
Yeah, and we know all the spots. It's like outdoor, and it's when it's the wind is turning from southwest to west southwest, the water's getting out. So then you have to be really cautious, because it's gonna drop like 10 cm, and that you have to maybe go a meter more out of the dam.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Question: specifics. How short are your lines when we're saying short lines?
22.
22! Oh my God. I've spent my whole life telling people, no, you can't have those German lines. They're far too short. I mean, for wave sailing, this is...
Yeah, you have to also realize we use a waist harness. We're not using a seat.
And you have a low boom.
That's also a really big difference.
But you have a low boom. Where in the cutout, maybe it's not easy to say where in your body does your boom come to?
No.
Just for the people who are listening on the podcast, he pointed to his belly button.
You have to watch, because if you watch the video, you just see a straight line with my arms. It should be a straight line.
It's super. I find that really interesting that 2 of the fastest guys in the world have that stance. But there's not many others, is there? it's like you look around. There's how
I'm
many
using,
people?
I'm using 26, 28, something like this.
Yeah.
26 normally.
What is that? What
But
you're using? 20.
But I'm smaller. I'm only 188. You're 2 meters.
But also, I think it's a way of style. If you have the old school windsurfers, it's a way different style, and they hang lower into the boom, lower onto the water. It's also a really different feeling because, 2 days ago, I tried also Windsurf equipment, and it felt like super weird, like old school with a higher boom, and I was like, oh, and it didn't feel alive, it felt a bit dead. And when you're with a short line, it's all way more aggressive, and you can feel everything like way better.
I think it's also a matter of leverage, because if you're taller, I think you can use a little bit shorter harness lines. I'm quite sure that's something.
Yeah, could be.
Really.
I mean, just talking to you guys now makes me want to make a video of me trying to replicate your style, because for me to do it, I would probably have to use like 18 centimeter lines.
No.
And I'd have to like put a new cutout in the sail.
I had some problems with it in the beginning, when the clue was always too high, and I wanted it lower and lower and lower just to see how far you can go till it is not effective anymore.
And what have you tested that lower limit? Like, have you had anything? Has Neil Pride made any special sails for it, or is it?
Yeah, no. But at a certain point, it doesn't work anymore because with bumping and stuff, and your boom is like this. It doesn't feel nice.
And say Andy was saying, how tall are you, Hans?
198.
198.
198.
How tall are you, Alpha?
And 188.
188. I'm 174. So, I mean, like I said, to even go close to where you have your boom, is it at the bottom of the cutout, for example?
Yeah, it's as low as you can go. And then I slam it down. Sometimes it pops, on the lower part. The zipper gets up.
That is so mad. And you are one of the fastest guys in the world. I mean, GPS, what are you like? Let's say just use the top speed. I know the speed guys don't use top speeds, but for me, as a regular punter, if I want to know who's the fastest in the world or the fastest car in the world, I just ask their top speed. I don't ask a car, but you know what I mean? I would look at the stats and I'd be like, what is the fastest you've ever been? So for me, as a non-speed sailor, I'm not a purist. What's your max speed?
I don't like the top speed.
No, I know. Nobody does in speed.
No,
I love it.
It's not.
I love the top speed.
Yeah, I understand. You love it, but I don't like the term because what they use. I peak this high, but if you're like using the watch, they're not as reliable.
Okay.
As the Motion or the GT31, and then they have like a huge peak, but it's I think it's a spike, and I think it's better to make like a 10-second, 10 seconds. Yeah. Like a 250 meter, and that's like, then you have an average of something, and I like, So
I have a question now, because this is me again, coming from a non-speed sailing background, thinking, is 500 too long?
The 500 is really difficult. I think 250 would be nice.
That's kind of where I think it need, like again, this is coming from no evidence, no nothing. I like 100 meters because 100 meters in life people can relate to. 100 meters is solid. Is that enough time to get an accurate speed? Because 100 meters, if you're doing 25 meters per second,
I think 100 meter can be good. But I think 250 is perfect. You can make a really good 250. You only need like 3 gusts for 250. So, and with a 100, is I don't know. It could be a lot.
What do you lose then? What would be the downside? Because again, this is just me for Windsurfing.TV. I was thinking of doing like a 100-meter thing, just because it seems
100-meter thing.
Yeah,
you still have the road ranking anyway, and you can filter, and you still have the GPS world ranking, the official one. It's pretty official, so
Yeah,
you can choose whatever you want.
Yeah, you can get all the data you want.
It's just, I feel like 500 meters makes it way harder to find the spots. Like 100 meters is like you might find that little nugget of 4 seconds or whatever it might take to do 100 meters somewhere in different spots around the world, whereas the 500 is like, Jesus Christ, even at Luderitz.
What I also think is a big difference if you do it on an open ocean or on a lake.
Yeah.
Or on a canal. Like the canal is so different than what we do at home. You know, used to call them.
Oh. Hello. Well, maybe we've lost them. Let's see if they come back.
There
you are.
It's all right. You went away for a second.
Yeah. No, because you know, on open water you can do only like 100 meter maybe on top speed.
Yeah.
Or maybe 250. You know, or you need a really, really good spot, you know, where it's long enough.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, for me, again, non-speed sailor, I just want to see the biggest number. Like as much as and I know that's not really a thing with the speed guys. You know, you guys are quite like, oh no, we need the 500 meter. But for me, just the biggest number on the watch, that's what I'm interested in. So when they say who's the fastest guy in the world?
Top speed, huh? Tuan also. Always. Tuan and myself, we're always on top speed. And I got those guys.
I think when you're out on open water, it's okay with top speed. But when you're on the canal, when you're trying to get the record, you should be on the 500 meters.
Yeah.
You know, it's like last year we did 103, and it was like, oh, I did 103. You know, like that's not why we're here. We're here to do a 500 meter. You know, and it would be so nice to break Antoine's record. You know, I've been looking up to this guy like very long, and I'm ready to smash it, but we just need some wind.
I know. And again, me as a outsider looking in, I am just going, come on. I'm looking at the forecast, and I was thinking, man, you guys are getting shoot at the moment, like, and then I see this little window that I was just looking at, and this looks pretty good. I mean, as far as
it looks really good.
So I'm like, come on. So what's the best day there? The Friday,
Saturday probably. I think Saturday, because normally the first day is going to be gusty. Bam.
and then I saw actually, if you look a little bit further on.
Sunny as well, huh?
Yeah, then I'm home. Don't do it.
Is that? Are there still people around for that, or is it finished?
No. Everybody's gone.
No, it's finished.
Nobody going, well, maybe. It's depending how this week goes. Oh, cool. All right, boys. Well,
we still have jobs, right?
Yeah, and that's also the interesting thing that, you know, a lot of the speed guys, well, nearly all of them, you all have normal jobs, like
it's not like
plumbers, whatever. I don't know. What do you do? What's your day job?
I'm a process operator in a factory.
Okay.
We make emulsions.
I'm key account manager for Neubau Kompass in Munich, but I can work from here. So basically, I'm working every day. I'm actually on holiday, but I'm working every day because.
I guess so. Most speed surfers have jobs where they can either they are the boss, or they can say to the boss, "Oi, I'm going. There's a good forecast." Because without that, I mean, if you're not there on a forecast, speed surfing's pretty crap.
Yeah, you really need to be flexible. Yeah. I mean, if you don't have a good boss, then it's not working.
I had that in the past, you know, when it was blowing over 30 knots, I wasn't working.
Yeah, that's what I remember. I remember you in France. Like I would be looking at the internet and it'd be like, oh, Hans is down in France again next weekend. Oh, Hans is down in France again. I was like, Christ, he's a keen bean. One more question before I get. Is there more people to come in? Just so you know, just so I know. Yes. Okay. Good. Okay. I have a question. Well, Paul Van Bellen has a question. Albo's record attempt with this Zephyr. gear. What's you guys' take on it? Have you heard anything? Is it even, because I heard some crazy numbers, which just seemed
ridiculous.
Just crazy. Yeah, well, I'll be honest. I thought that seems too far away from what we are at the moment. You know, because
I think you can like tell a lot of things, but I think he has to come out with a result, right?
Yeah.
We don't see anything coming, so it's gonna be interesting for sure. But first see, you know, it's only words for now.
So, is we're talking foil? Is that it, or they? I don't know. It just seems that the Zephyr project is foil, or is it anything? No, we got a bit of freezing. Right. Well, we'll wait for them to come back. It started to go a little bit.
Really... Ah, there you are.
That's right, I'm back.
No, we actually got no clue what he's doing. So yeah, it would be nice. But yeah, I think the big guys, they can do top speed of 58, 59, maybe 60 knots this year. I don't know.
No. I don't think so. No.
Yeah, maybe you had 56, maybe
yeah,
57,
57 maybe. But
It is possible, you think?
I think.
I'm so looking forward.
Not for
right,
myself,
you know?
but for Hans. And
the angle needs to be right. And, you know, the wind strength needs to be right. Otherwise, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, the run up is like, I think, a little too short. And the run should be like a bit longer as well. But the valley is just too short.
Yeah. It's interesting. And what you said before, if it was possible and you could put a channel at Diaz Point, would that be better?
I think also Diaz Point is too short.
his face. You're freezing.
Freeze.
You're freezing.
I'm going to say,
luckily.
Thomas Bund.
Hey,
Thomas. Ben, you're free. Hello?
It looks like there's a bit of meltdown right now. So,
can you hear?
I just and
hello? Cuckoo. Should we do a refresh?